Welcome to the very first episode of Law Unpacked, where we break down complex legal issues and make them easier to digest with a dash of humor along the way. I'm your host, Sean DeVries, and today we're diving into a real headache of a legal topic: squatters in Florida. You might have seen me on the news recently where we covered a frustrating case that really highlights why squatting laws need to change. This isn't just a one-off problem. It's an issue affecting property owners all over Florida, especially as real estate booms and more homes are left vacant during sale periods. Today's story involves local Jacksonvillians, Patty and Don, and their experience dealing with squatters here in Jacksonville.
A disturbing rise of squatters cropping up throughout the United States. Imagine this: people forcing their way into unoccupied homes, then claiming them as their own, usually changing the locks and printing bogus documents in the process. Not only is it a nightmare for homeowners, but it's also a legal headache to try and resolve. This nightmare became a reality for two business partners in Jacksonville, Florida, who spent weeks trying to get their house back. Watch. Florida homeowners Patty Peoples and Don Tierer were excited to put their property on the market back in February, but almost as soon as they put out their for sale sign, squatters moved in. They refused to leave, claiming they were victims of a rental scam and said they had every right to be there. And just like that, these business partners became the latest victims of a nationwide squatting problem.
And I was unable to get into the front door because that sunroom door was locked. So I went around the back of the house to use my key to get in, and then it dawned on me that there may be individuals in the house and I would be placing myself in harm's way. The squatter said, "We rented this house. Here is a receipt that she showed me that showed that she had paid last month's rent, as well as a pet deposit." And I said, "Well, this is a fraudulent lease. The house is not for rent."
For more than a month, the homeowners tried to confront the squatters. During one of their encounters, Patty was violently shoved out of her own home. But finally, after weeks of frustration and more than $5,000 in attorney fees, this week, the court ordered the squatters out. But the feeling of victory quickly came to an end when Patty and Don re-entered their property.
Be careful where you walk. There's a lot of broken eggs and eggshells and slime on the ground and a lot of dog feces.
What were they after in your walls?
They weren't.
Copper?
This was, we don't think so. We think they were just being vindictive.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
This wasn't even, they weren't trying to get anything. They just wanted to destroy
They just wanted to destroy the house.
So I saw the before photos. This was such a beautiful remodel.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
We were proud of it. It was one that we knew was going to sell. It
beautiful
was
flooring, and they took literally a sledgehammer to it.
They did. This is the worst room.
Holy moly. Oh, they were really pissed off in this room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when y'all came for the first time in here to look at all of this, what was going through y'all's mind?
Your heart just drops and you just wonder what kind of people can do this.
Yeah.
It's just wrong.
I'm just curious, if you guys decided we're just gonna barge in and take our property back,
We would have been arrested.
y'all would have been arrested?
We would have
Yes,
been
we were
arrested.
told that very clearly.
Very clearly. Do not attempt to remove them.
How much is it gonna take to repair all of this damage?
Well, we don't know. We're meeting the insurance adjuster tomorrow, and we're hoping that insurance will cover it.
Hoping.
Well, there's a clause that says if a house is vacant for more than 60 days, you have to have vacancy insurance, which we'd never heard about. So if they say the squatters were not here, considered tenants, the house was vacant for 60 days. However, we couldn't get in the house because the court told us we didn't have right to walk in. So we couldn't sell it, and nor could we even get a regular tenant in. So we have a feeling, and we'll let you know, that the insurance company will first deny.
To understand the insurance dilemma, I spoke with Florida real estate attorney Sean DeVries.
In most policies, unless you call your insurance company and ask them to instate a policy that covers a vacant property, oftentimes when somebody comes in and they are there, a squatter in this instance, the insurance company could come back and say, no, we're not going to cover it because you don't have vacant property insurance.
No criminal charges have been filed in Patty and Don's case, but They're working with state lawmakers to reduce squatters' rights while they work to restore their own home to its original state. But their message to Americans: take extra precautions.
Patty and Don listed their Jacksonville property for sale, thinking it was going to be a smooth process. But out of nowhere, squatters moved in. They locked the doors, refused to leave, and even showed up with a bogus lease and some receipts that supposedly proved their right to be there. It was outrageous. Squatters took over their home, and Patty and Don suddenly found themselves not only unable to sell it, but having to deal with significant damage to the property. Now, how does something like this even happen? Why were they forced to jump through hoops to get rid of people who had no legal right to be there in the first place? Before Florida passed the recent law, property owners often had to go through a long, drawn-out eviction process, even if the squatters didn't have any legal claim to the property. The squatters could show up with fake documents, a fraudulent lease, or receipts for supposed rent payments, and the homeowners were required to file an actual formal eviction in court. This meant hiring lawyers, filing documents, and waiting, and waiting, and waiting. In the meantime, their home, once a place of pride and joy, was being trashed. By the time they regained control of the property, it was no longer move-in ready, and they were left with over $20,000 in repair costs. $20,000! That's just the financial hit. Now think about the emotional toll this took on them. Imagine the stress of watching your home, where you built memories, being destroyed. Well, you can't do anything about it at all. All the while, the clock is ticking on selling the property, and the market is shifting beneath your feet. Patty and Don aren't alone in this. These cases have become more and more common, and until recently, homeowners had very few tools at their disposal to fight back. But here's where things take a positive turn. Due to the recent news coverage, I'd like to think we had a little bit to do with it, but on July 1st, 2024, House Bill 621 officially became Florida law, making it easier for property owners to remove squatters. This is a game changer, folks. Now, instead of jumping through months of legal hurdles, homeowners can directly involve law enforcement. Here's how it works. If you find squatters on your property, you can file a verified complaint with the local sheriff's office. The sheriff will then verify your ownership, issue a notice to the squatters to vacate, and if necessary, they'll remove them. The process is streamlined and is meant to cut down on the time it takes to reclaim your property. You can also have the sheriff stand by while you secure the property by changing the locks, ensuring those squatters don't return. This is a much needed relief for homeowners, and it doesn't stop there. Florida's new law also imposes serious penalties on squatters. If they cause more than $1,000 in damages, it's considered a second-degree felony. And anyone who knowingly rents or sells property they don't own, something we've seen a lot of, especially in these scam cases, can now be charged with a first-degree felony. These penalties are designed to send a clear message. Squatting isn't just a nuisance, it's a criminal behavior. Now, let's talk about what this means for you, the homeowner. First, it's important to understand the risks if your property is going to be vacant. Whether you're moving, selling, or simply leaving the property for an extended period, there are steps you need to take to protect yourself. This is really important. Number one, make sure you have vacant property insurance. This is something that Patty and Don didn't have, and they were left without coverage when their home was damaged. Most standard homeowners insurance policies don't cover damages caused by squatters if the property has been vacant for more than 60 days. So if you're leaving your property unattended, vacant insurance can save you a lot of money and frustration down the line. Don't forget to let your insurance company know and have vacant property insurance added to your policy immediately. Second, be strategic about how you list and market your property. A lot of us, including myself, rely on traditional methods like for sale signs and lock boxes to make it easier for potential buyers to access the home. But here's the flip side. These same signs can make your home a target for squatters. It's essentially to work closely with your realtor to ensure your property is secure and you're not unintentionally making it vulnerable. And finally, if you do find yourself dealing with squatters, don't try to handle it alone. The law is complicated, and while Florida's new law makes it easier to remove squatters, it's still crucial to approach the situation the right way. Trying to take matters into your own hands whether it's changing the locks or confronting the squatters directly, can land you in legal trouble. That's why having an experienced legal team like the DeVries Law Firm is critical. We focus on helping homeowners resolve property disputes, navigate eviction processes, and reclaim their homes. Whether it's dealing with squatters, tenant disputes, or anything else related to property law, we've got the experience to guide you through it. Before we wrap up today, I want to circle back to Patty and Don. Despite everything they went through, they didn't just throw their hands up and walk away. They're working with lawmakers to make sure this doesn't happen to others. Their experience has become part of a larger conversation about how to protect property owners across Florida. It's inspiring to see people take a terrible situation and use it as motivation to create positive change. So what's the big takeaway here? If you're a homeowner in Florida, take extra precautions, especially when your property is vacant. Make sure your insurance policies are in order, and if squatters ever become an issue, don't hesitate to reach out for legal help. You don't want to end up on the wrong side of the law while trying to protect your own home. And let's not forget, squatting isn't just an issue here in Florida. Other states are grappling with the same problem, and Florida's new law could serve as a model for other places looking to strengthen property rights. It's about creating a balance between protecting property owners and ensuring that tenants' rights are respected, especially without leaving loopholes for exploitation. If you have questions about squatting, property law, or if you're dealing with a similar issue, drop your questions in the comments or reach out to us at the DeVries Law Firm. We're always here to help, and who knows, maybe your story could be featured on a future episode. Well, that's all for today's episode of Law Impact. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, if the law's got you tangled up, we're here to break it down. Stay safe, and until next time.